Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to speculate how the Banish could solve the elite problem in Halo Infinite. I do want to start by saying we hit 30 subs, so thank you for everyone who joined recently, and hopefully we can continue to grow. So let's get into it. In the original Halo, elites led jackals and grunts into battle, and they were decently high health, only beaten out by the hunters, while also being agile and having rechargeable shields, kind of like a Spartan. You saw them a lot throughout the first Halo game, and they generally were fun enemies to fight as they had a difficult style because they like to dodge your attacks and move out of the way, unlike some of the smaller and more useless enemies that the Covenant had to offer. In Halo 2, this pattern continued, and the elites stayed basically the same, except for in the story they were starting to realize that the Covenant were a bunch of massive liars. But other than that, the elites you face in the game were very similar to the ones you faced in Halo 1. Out of the original Halo games, Halo 3 was the outlier of Bungie's trilogy because in the actual game we faced basically, I don't think, any elites because they had officially joined our side and were fighting against the Covenant, and the main enemies in that were brutes taking over the elites' place. But the brutes were more heavy, and they usually acted like what they're called, brutes, so they kind of rushed you with their tanky abilities, and they were a little stronger than elites, but a little dumber in the game. When 343 took over and Halo 4 was released, the elites had changed massively. Not only did their design change to be more bulky and more muscular, I guess, but they also had a different style. They weren't exactly agile anymore. They were kind of, honestly, they felt more like brutes, and that's the elite problem. Basically, their design and abilities were changed, and they became an entirely different enemy. They weren't really agile anymore. They may dodge a little to the left, but you could easily hit them. And they felt more like brutes because they normally rushed you with a melee. And honestly, it felt so different from the elites we had been used to in the other two games that it felt like you weren't facing the same enemy. And that's one of my only gripes with Halo 4 because the story was actually pretty great. It's just that how they did the elites just felt different than what it should have been. Halo 5 had the elites in the same fashion that Halo 4 did, acting more like brutes, which seemed honestly off again because the elites were more sneaky and agile. Now they're just kind of a replacement brute, which the Halo series didn't really need because the brutes were like a specific enemy you face in the Bungie trilogy. And since they were now gone, it felt like you didn't just need to replace them, you just could have kept the enemies we had and it still would have been fine. But with that, in this new game, we still don't know exactly what the elites will be. Will they still be the bulky brute type that honestly just rushes you with a melee, or will they return to their sneaky dodging tactics from the original two Halo games? With the acknowledgement that 343 is trying to listen to the fans a little more and that they're editing their art style to be a bit like 343's but also keep what they improved on, it seems like this, along with the confirmation that the Banished will be in Halo Infinite, would be a perfect way to take the elites that we had at Halo 5 and step them back to how they were in the original Bungie trilogy. To return the elites back to the original state, they'd definitely have to change the appearance, and with this, they'd probably have to give us some simple explanation, which honestly, they can just play it off as the elites in Halo 4 and 5 were genetically modified, just like the Spartans are for the humans. And this would make sense because they would be low on supplies, since now most of the elites have totally abandoned them. There's like Joel Madama, but he died in the beginning of Halo 5. Sorry, spoilers, but whatever. You should know that if you're watching videos about Halo Infinite. And basically, that'd give them a nice excuse to why the original elites suddenly returned. And that would make sense for the Banished because these would be the same elites that joined and left with the brutes still from Halo 3. So it would make sense that their design would be back to the original as well. Since the Covenant isn't really a major threat, having the brutes back in as well as these original elites would give more variety to the game, since Halo 4 did add all these Forerunner enemies, and then Halo 5 evolved onto that. But this, along with the brutes, could make a wide selection for the game to have. Even if they wanted to, 343 could keep both types of elites and have it for the remaining Covenant, the newer style elites, and for the Banished, the older style elites. And I'd also like to see Arbiter and his people, because they'd also probably be the older style elites, since that's what Arbiter was and all the people who left with him. So it makes sense, even if they kept both designs in and they just played it off like that. Hopefully, 343 can return the elites to their former glory with some small aesthetic changes and a bit of explaining. And if they do, it'll be awesome to see the elites back to their original state, just like in Halos 1 and 2. So, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And see you next time. I will probably do more Halo content next, but basically my breaks are so I can think of new videos. So hopefully you don't mind a little break and watch the other ones if you feel like it. So see you guys next time.